The following calculations are preliminary values on the capital margins limit lines. These values are in US dollars, December 2011 CE. The lowest two limit lines do not have a monetary value. They are basic life services and social programs respectively. The government line, using minimum wage as a base, sets individual income around $15,000 annually. These are the lowest values allowed within the economic system. The upper limits are on net worth, not income. The upper limits represent cash and assets at any one time. The first upper limit, calculated for individuals, is an average income over a lifetime, starting with a negative $1 million to raise a child from birth to 20 years old. The individual then earns $30,000 annually between 20 and 30. Then the individual earns $100,000 between 30 and 40. Next, the individual earns $300,000 on average between 40 and 60. Lastly, the individual earns $50,000 annually between 60 and 80 years old. This equals a lifetime net income of $7.8 million. Rounded up, a single individual can have a very prosperous life for $10 million. An exceptional individual may make 3 times this amount, however, bringing the grand total individual lifetime net income to $30 million. Note, this is not net worth. This is total income and spending over the course of a lifetime. The list of highest net worth individuals in the world shows values between 20 and 80 billion. Therefore, the capital margins individual limit line has a value of $30 billion. The individual upper limit line affects only the top 7 of the world's most wealthiest individuals. The individual upper limit line only affects the top 3 net worth individuals in the United States. $30 billion in net worth is 1,000 times greater than the entire lifetime cost of an exceptional individual. The second upper limit line is calculated for corporations. The list of highest net worth corporations in the United States shows values over $2 trillion. Therefore, the capital margins corporation limit line has a value of $600 billion. The corporate upper limit line only affects the top 7 most wealthiest corporations in the United States. The third and highest upper limit is calculated for nations. The list of nations on Earth with the highest GDP shows values between $1 and $16 trillion. Therefore, the capital margins nation limit line has a value of $9 trillion. This requires the United States of America to increase its value by a minimum of $6 trillion. These are the preliminary calculations and values on capital margins. The actual amounts should be confirmed or adjusted by economists and may be much lower. For those individuals and corporations above the upper limit lines, I recommend using a grandfather process to spend down the money within the next 5 years. The question to ask is, how do you know? No one individual will ever have all the money. Not any single company nor any nation will have all the money in the world. Therefore, limits will be defined so most people are not disenfranchised by a very few, whom do not realize the best distribution of wealth for the well-being of everyone. The specific individuals and organizations in these lists of top net worth are just part of the problem. The focus is on the numbers. The problem of these people is the economic system. The following refutations are addressed to counter any and all opposition to the capital margins economic system. At individuals. The net worth of any individual will not exceed $30 billion. There is no justification for that kind of cash to be sitting in any one person's account for any one individual. Capital margins does not infringe on individualism. If an individual cannot achieve their dreams with $30 billion, then they do not deserve that kind of wealth. Practically, an upper limit creates an incentive, a realistic goal. Once an individual has reached the upper limit, they're done. Congratulations are due. Billions of years of evolution, development of cultures, innovations and wars, up to this great empire of democracy and capitalism, to be one of the very, very few worth 30 billion. And then that's it. There's nothing more to do. Now they can go do something else. Or if the process of building personal wealth is so intrinsic to some individuals, then they can simply spend most of their money and do it again. Alternately, on the individual lower limit, no individual, be they homeless, drug addicts, physically or mentally disabled, veterans, elderly, or anyone, is allowed to fall below that line. No one will fall below the lowest limit. At corporations, the net worth of any corporation will not exceed $600 billion. There is no advantage for any singular corporation to monopolize any industry, and vertical markets are poorly served by corporations. The only result of unbridled corporations is indentured servitude. Furthermore, Very large and therefore fewer corporations is contrary to capitalism, the very system in which these corporations thrive. Corporations should behave like a biological cell. When they achieve a specific size or reach the capital margin, then the corporation must split or sell off pieces in order to grow, save they begin to consume themselves. The branching corporations encourage other innovations and even intermediary corporations. If a bank cannot make enough money simply from the money in its accounts, then they should not be in the banking business. Banking is a service industry, not an investment firm. The bank should focus on their customers and little else. Wall Street must learn, money making money is not sustainable and should be marginalized. Wealth is produced, not derived. Further, the word speculation does not veil the gambling characteristics of the industry. Trades in microseconds become valueless. Rather than siphon money from large, bundled, anonymous accounts, investors should be promoting production, goods and services in the marketplace, especially locally. One look at the capital margins illustration is enough to convince any stock trader or other capitalist to support the capital margins economic system. At nations, the net worth of any nation will not exceed $9 trillion converted. Whether China or Dubai, the Vatican or the Nation of Islam, the Illuminatus or even the United States of America, no nation shall exceed the national capital margin. Capital margins will be executed globally or the system will fail. If only a few countries implement capital margins, then their wealth will be compromised to other nations. It's a big planet, but it's a small world. Nations will comply with the laws of the universe. Growth requires division. A nation at $9 trillion adjusted has achieved a critical mass and must divide. Nationalism, like religion, has limits. The humans, individual people, are accountable for the economy and the disposition of their nation. Capital margins is an opportunity for America to once again take the lead and show the world this is how to do it, right away. Again, the upper limits are on net worth, not income. An individual can make $1 million a minute, or a corporation may have trillions in cash flow, but their assets in cash may not exceed the capital margins. The capital margins economic system will actualize individual achievements, facilitate industrial growth, and maintain global diversity. Too big to fail is too big. The threat and incarnation of violence is unnecessary. The bodies are already on the ground in cities around the world. This is not about money, this is about independence. Give me liberty or give me death. Welcome to Starship Earth. I have personally experienced great detriment as the result of the people's current economic problems. I could rant for hours on specifics, but for now a summary will suffice. I have several family members and neighbors who own multiple houses while I rent or barter lodging. My friends and associates regularly buy into get-rich-quick schemes instead of investing or working on our ventures. All of the business associates I have solicited want too much return too quickly, and my businesses remain unfunded. On the corporate front, the bank that sold my student loan did not send me any notification. Another bank has refused to cash a valid client check because I didn't have an account with them. At my local bank, the branch manager has lied to my face twice, and the business account representative is a new person every several months. The bank frequently changes their policy on overdraft fees and deposit times, not to mention withholding deposits, that is, profiting on my income for 1 to several days while debit transactions clear immediately or within a day. The most damaging, however, has been the bank fees. I have paid non-bank ATM fees, debit transaction fees, checking account fees, savings account fees, minimum balance fees, negative balance fees, overdraft fees, balance inquiry fees, statement fees, counter fees, merchant processing fees, currency conversions fees, and the grossly negligent fees on their own fees. I have had to shuffle between banks and cell phone companies because they have become indifferent. I have been unable to afford health insurance. My government has been unresponsive to direct initiatives. My representatives have elected ideologies rather than use science and reason. And as the recent owner of my student loan, the United States collection process has been inefficient and inappropriately aggressive. I am a small business owner. I have been providing products and services and building my company for over a decade. My business has been immobilized, and I have suffered losses as a direct result of the people and their current economic problems. Capital margins is the only viable solution for the global economy, et al. This was a video on the capital margins economic system. I defined the current economic problems and the available options. I illustrated the structure and functions of capital margins, including some real-world numbers. Then I fully addressed the opposition and provided personal testimony. This concludes the presentation on capital margins.